boxing.
Welcome back everyone to Boxing on the Edge. I hope everyone's doing well. I just wanted to do a video on this Tyson Fury Dillian Whyte fight and talk about the actual fight from an early stage, obviously closer to the fight. I'd love to see how the training camps go so we can dissect it a little bit more, but from my point of view right now, I want to break the fight down. Fantastic fight. I love it when, you know, the top guys get in there and fight each other, see who's the best. And Dillian Whyte, obviously we know he's been long deserving of a shot. Obviously, I know he turned down the AJ fight and stuff like that, but he's been having a run around from the WBC and stuff like that for ages. It's been ridiculous. But fight's here. Obviously, it's at Wembley Arena, April 23rd. A lot's been made of that. It's going to be a record attendance. That's amazing. A lot of beef going on behind the scenes between Eddie Hearn and Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte and the no-show and stuff. And let's talk about the fight. The fight's here. It's great. Let's get excited for that. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about the stylistical matchup, really. I mean, Dillian Whyte doesn't really match up too well for me right now against Tyson Fury. And I say right now, it's just in terms of how do they show up in their training camps. I think that could be a factor, in the sense that the same way that Lopez showed up for Lomachenko, where he's only been thinking about Lomachenko for years and years, and Lomachenko's been doing his own thing, and then he shows up and he puts in an amazing performance. You can catch someone off guard like that. And Whyte, for some reason, I can't quite put my finger on it, he's up to something. You know, he's got some tricks up his sleeve of some kind. I think he's going to be more dedicated than ever. He hasn't had to do as many of these, you know, big fight preparations, and Fury's been going to the well a lot. He looked fantastic in the second Wilder fight physically. He looked strong. Didn't look quite at it in the third one. I know he got an amazing performance in and did what he had to do, but pre-fight, even I was saying pre-fight, he doesn't look as dialed in. And if Whyte's going to come in as dialed in as he's ever been, as best as he's ever been, and Fury's not quite there, that could make it a bit more interesting. Because in terms of what stylistically Whyte, I was saying, doesn't match up well, every department, I would say almost all of them, Fury has the edge or a clear advantage in. You know, obviously speed, IQ, experience, heart. You could probably say Whyte is right there with him, to be honest. You know, he's got off the canvas. He's obviously been knocked out. Fury hasn't. The intangibles we sort of know about, but in terms of actual skill-based attributes, you know, Whyte, I would say he probably has the power edge for sure. Not just an edge, he's definitely got more power, but power is one thing, you know. It's how do you set it up? How do you use your power? When you're fighting against a person who's highly intelligent, it's not as easy to set your punches up. And the way Wilder got to Fury was actually, like, I don't think Dillian Whyte's capable of doing that. He obviously isn't as powerful, but it's that snake-like reactions that Wilder has and had for that two of the knockdowns. When you step in Wilder's zone and it's a split second, he can strike, and I can't see Whyte having the ability to do that. So I think it's gonna be a long night for Dillian Whyte if Fury comes in, you know, close to his best. I think he's got the range on him, he's got the height, he's got the experience, he's got the speed, and he's got the IQ. And I think the jab is going to be a massively important punch in this fight. I think Dillian Whyte's got a decent jab sometimes, but he gets a bit lazy with it. He doesn't have a fully educated, I don't want to say he doesn't have a fully educated understanding about it, because he does. He's a professional boxer. But when you compare the ability to Fury, to how he uses his jab, and the jab's the most important punch in boxing, hands down. And the main reason for that is because it's so versatile. You can use it in so many different ways. And Fury has a better jab, you know, all around, and I think he's going to be able to use that to his advantage. At this stage, I would say it's very curious to see what fight plan they're going to both display, because you can see Fury coming out, moving a little bit more. Whyte's got the upright style from the kickboxing days, which is not going to work well for him in this fight, I don't think. Tends to be a little bit off balance sometimes. Fury's a bit more graceful. I know he's not the same dancer and mover as he was, but he can still do it a little bit. And if he has a good camp and gets down, and depending on his fight plan, he can, in spots, I think he's going to be able to have his way with Whyte, from jabbing, moving, you know, doing his crafty work. So I mean, you know, Whyte's going to have to get physical, try and get on the inside and make it a little bit dirty. I think we know that. Maybe not dirty, just rough. But very intriguing fight. I love it. I think it's great. I think it's great we got it. And, you know, speaking of that, I just want to shout out to Chris Andre and Outmatch Boxing. We were both on Chris's channel a few weeks ago, and we were asked the question, you know, is this a golden era of heavyweight boxing? We both had slightly different answers, but essentially agreed on the fact that the talent is absolutely there for the golden era. And these guys fighting each other on April 23rd is amazing. But like, how many of these big fights have to happen for it to be a golden era? You know, the talent's there. We've got AJ, Fury, Wilder. You can throw Whyte in there too. Obviously Tyson, Fury. You know, if Fury and Wilder, if Fury and AJ don't fight, that'd be a travesty. If AJ and Wilder don't fight, that's just an amazing fight. It should have happened already. And if Whyte and Wilder don't fight, I mean, there's a lot of retirement talk going on as well. So like, if I guess my question is, if Whyte and Fury are the only ones to fight out of the top guys, is that golden era just gonna dwindle off into the sunset and go up in smoke, and us boxing fans are going to be left like wondering what would have happened if they had fought, you know, in like the barbershop in Coming to America, except without having them, you know, the Marciano and Joe Louis obviously fought, but he was like 400 years old, wasn't he? But I don't want that to happen, you know. As a boxing fan, it would be a travesty. And then Crawford and Spence, we want these fights to happen. I think it's amazing that these guys are getting in the ring, but what would it take for it to be a golden era? Would it just be one more fight after this? Anyway, I'm digressing a little bit. Let's move on with the fight and talk about the trainers. So Dillian Whyte has recently, or what is it, one or two fights, Xavier Miller and I forgot the other guy's name, Harold, the American dude. Forget his name. Anyway, I'll put it in the timeline. Yeah, are they going to have enough experience at this level to be able to deal with what the Fury camp's going to be fully experienced at? You know, it's like when you're dealing, this is a massive fight. This is a massive fight, and it will be their first one at this stage and this magnitude. You know, when you're doing it for the first time, surely, you know, you look back and go, oh man, wish we'd have done that. And I'm not necessarily even talking in fight, or just the preparations on the day. You know, things are all new. So these things, when you're talking about that top level, you know, 2 to 5%, they can all make a difference. And maybe they'll ace it. Maybe they'll have a blinding performance and be able to get enough experience between the people they know to be able to manage these situations, you know. But that'll be, you'd again favor Sugar Hill, you'd favor the Fury camp. They've been there and done it in big fights, big pay-per-views. They'll know exactly what to do. You know, I know Whyte's been in some pay-per-views too and some decent fights, but this is a massive fight for him. I'm sure he can manage it, but again, you'd lean to Fury. So you know, all the money I'd say would be on Fury. It'd be hard to imagine how he doesn't win this fight. But there is that little factor. It's like, what is Whyte up to? That no-show at the press conference was actually quite a good move. As much as I wanted to see those two guys nearly getting a punch up at the press conference. I think that's probably the right thing to do in terms of, you know, the battle that's already started. It's already started way before this, but it's really started now. The contract's been signed. Because you're not going to win a mind game or a press conference with Fury. Whyte's quite easy to wind up by the looks of it. He's a very hot-headed guy, and Fury's a master mind control wizard, you know. So don't give him that opportunity. It's not 1-0 to anybody, but Whyte's not down on the cards pre-fight. Is he going to show up to any of them? I hope so. But anyway, look, those are my thoughts. I love this fight. We got an absolutely stacked April for boxing fans. We got Spence, Ugas, Valdez, Stevenson, Canelo, Bivol shortly after. Listen, we got a lot to be happy about as boxing fans, and you know, I'm very excited about this. So if you have any comments about this fight, shoot it in the comment section. If you give Dillian Whyte a chance, let me know why, and break it down. And then hit the like button if you enjoyed it, and if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Plenty more content coming. Boxing on the Edge. Have a great week. I'll see you soon.
Boxing
on the edge.